Did you know there are behaviors that destroy your self-esteem without you even realizing it? Small attitudes, comments, or actions you tolerate, thinking it's not that serious or that's just how things are. But every time you accept it, you allow others to trample on your worth. The worst part, many times you're not even aware it's happening. You become a prisoner of your silence, allowing behaviors that not only hurt you, but eventually define how others treat you. Have you ever wondered how many times you've said yes when you wanted to say no? Or how many times you've let a disrespectful act slide because you thought addressing it would make you seem difficult or dramatic? Those moments don't just steal your peace, they rob you of your power. Every behavior you allow without questioning becomes an invisible chain tying you to harmful relationships, situations that undermine your confidence, and most painfully, a life you don't deserve. It's time to open your eyes. In this session, we will uncover the 10 behaviors you should never accept from anyone, because recognizing them is the first step toward breaking free from toxic patterns. With each one, you'll learn how to set firm boundaries and protect your mental peace, guided by principles that will restore your control over your life. Stay until the end, because the 7th behavior will reveal a truth that could forever change how you perceive your relationships. This is your moment to say enough, to stop accepting the unacceptable, and to claim the respect you have always deserved. Before we begin, I want you to declare your commitment by leaving this comment: "From today, I will not accept the unacceptable." That phrase will serve as a reminder that you are here to set boundaries, not to allow others to hurt you. This is the moment to prove to yourself that you deserve the respect and dignity you've always sought. In a world full of distractions, this space is a refuge for those who value the power of reflection and personal growth. If you're ready to take back control of your life and inspire others, hit a like and subscribe. Every action counts to help spread this powerful Stoic wisdom to more people. Without further ado, let's begin. Behavior 1. Disrespect. Respect is neither a luxury nor a privilege. It is an essential foundation for any relationship, whether professional, personal, or familial. Yet, in our daily lives, how many times have you allowed someone to cross that line out of fear of conflict, to keep the peace, or simply because you thought it wasn't that important? Here's the truth. Every time you tolerate disrespect, you unconsciously send a clear message that your boundaries are negotiable. And that, my friend, is where the problem begins, when respect masquerades as a joke. Some of the most damaging aggressions don't come with shouting or direct insults, but through soft words wrapped in humor. "It's just a joke" might seem trivial, but when those jokes consistently undermine your abilities, decisions, or even your appearance, they leave invisible scars. Think about it. How many times have you heard phrases like, "I'm sure you can handle that, even if it's not your strong suit," or "I don't understand why you keep trying"? These kinds of comments slip under the radar and plant seeds of doubt about your worth and capabilities. If left unchecked, they become an undercurrent that gradually erodes your self-esteem. Stoic philosophy offers a powerful perspective here. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it hurts, remember that it's not the thing itself that's hurting you, but your perception of it." While you can't control what others say, you can decide whether their words shape how you see yourself. Insults in disguise. "It was just a joke," they say, as though that phrase could erase the harm done. But it doesn't. Sarcasm, veiled criticisms, and heavy-handed jokes are forms of belittlement that go unnoticed because those who make them often dismiss your reaction. They make you feel like the problem for not finding humor in their remarks. Here's where Stoicism teaches a key lesson: firmness without aggression. You don't need to insult back or yell to stand up for yourself. A calm response like, "I understand that's how you see it, but I don't agree," or even quietly walking away sends a clear message. You won't tolerate disrespect. It's a demonstration of self-control and dignity. The criticism, for your own good. One of the subtlest forms of disrespect comes disguised as concern, unsolicited, constructive criticism. "I'm only telling you because I care," might sound well-meaning, but when it's loaded with judgments about your decisions, goals, or lifestyle, it's not help, it's control. The key here is to stand firm in what you know to be true about yourself. As the Stoics teach, the opinions of others should not define your worth or decisions. Your self-esteem is not up for debate, and you don't need anyone's approval to know your value. How to respond to disrespect? 1. Identify the behavior. Disrespect isn't always obvious. It might be a glance, a condescending tone, or a repetitive joke. Learn to spot these patterns before they accumulate and chip away at your confidence. 2. Stand firm on your boundaries. Being firm doesn't mean being aggressive. You can respond calmly yet clearly. Something as simple as, "I'd prefer not to discuss that," or "I don't think this is the place for that conversation," sends a strong message. Your boundaries are non-negotiable. 3. Maintain calm and dignity. Self-respect starts with composure. You don't need to react with anger or resentment. If someone crosses a line, their behavior reflects who they are, not who you are. 4. Evaluate relationships. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, minimizes your achievements, or ignores your boundaries, it may be time to reassess whether they deserve a place in your life. As Carl Jung said, self-respect is the foundation of all respect. Respect is the foundation. Respect isn't just a pillar of healthy relationships, it's also a reflection of how you value yourself. When you tolerate disrespect, you signal to the world that you don't believe you deserve better. But when you stand your ground, even calmly and serenely, you demonstrate that you're in control of your life and that your boundaries are not negotiable. In the Stoic path, every interaction is an opportunity to grow, to practice the virtue of courage, and to remind yourself that no matter what others think or say, you decide how to respond and what to tolerate. So ask yourself, what are you allowing today that undermines your value, and how can you change it? Behavior 2. Emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation is a dark art that many people master without even realizing it. Some do it out of habit, others out of fear of losing control, and a few out of pure selfishness. What's concerning isn't just that these people exist, but that we often allow them to manipulate us, unaware of how they're pulling the strings of our emotions. It's as if we're bound by invisible threads they control, and we follow their rhythm, forgetting that we are not puppets, but human beings with the right to set our own boundaries. The art of invisible strings. Have you ever found yourself feeling guilty after an argument instead of at peace? Perhaps you were defending a legitimate point, but the other person broke down in tears, shifting the focus of the conversation to their apparent suffering. Or maybe you've heard phrases like, "If you really loved me, you'd do this for me," or "You never do enough for this relationship." These are tools of manipulation designed to plant doubt, destabilize your confidence, and ultimately control you. The Stoics, wise in the art of managing emotions, teach us something crucial. You cannot control the actions of others, but you can control your reaction to them. When someone tries to manipulate you emotionally, the true power lies in not yielding, in not allowing their emotions to become your chains. But of course, this is easier said than done. Recognizing manipulation. The first step to freeing yourself from emotional manipulation is identifying when it's happening. Here are some common manipulative behaviors. 1. Guilt as a control tool. When someone makes you feel guilty for setting boundaries or prioritizing your well-being, phrases like, "If you don't do this, you'll make me very unhappy," are attempts to make you responsible for their emotional state. 2. Undermining your achievements. Some people try to downplay your successes to feel superior or keep you insecure. They might say things like, "That's not such a big deal. Anyone could do that." 3. Constantly demanding sacrifices. If someone convinces you that you must give up your peace, time, or happiness to meet their needs, you're dealing with a manipulator. 4. Constant victimhood. They always position themselves as the victim, expecting you to save them from their problems. This may seem harmless at first, but over time, it drains your energy and makes you doubt your own limits. Stoicism as an antidote. The Stoics remind us that our energy shouldn't be wasted on what we can't control. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it's under your control, take action. If it's not, why worry?" Emotional manipulation is a perfect example of something you can combat, not by confronting the manipulator directly, but by changing how you respond. First, question the emotion. When someone makes you feel guilty or insecure, pause and ask yourself, is this emotion truly mine, or is it being imposed on me? The answer will help you identify if you're under a manipulator's influence. 2. Set clear boundaries. You don't have to explain or justify your boundaries. Saying, "This isn't acceptable to me," or "I can't help you with that," is enough. 2. Remember, setting boundaries may cause temporary discomfort, but it's an act of self-respect. 3. Don't feed the game. Emotional manipulators thrive on your reaction. If you respond calmly and firmly, you strip them of the power to control your emotions. For example, if someone tries to guilt-trip you, you could reply, "I'm sorry you feel that way, but that's not something I can control." The value of reclaiming control. When you decide to cut the strings of manipulation, you don't just free yourself from someone else's influence, you reclaim your autonomy. It's an act of courage to say, "I won't follow this script you've written for me." In that moment, you stop being the hero in someone else's narrative and become the protagonist of your own story. Emotional manipulators often rely on your need to please, your fear of rejection, or your desire to keep the peace. But the cost of granting them this power is too high. You lose your energy, your time, and worst of all, your identity. The manipulator as a cheap magician. Emotional manipulation is like a poorly executed magic trick. It seems impressive at first, but once you understand how it works, it loses all its power. The Stoics teach us that the key to defeating these tricks is to keep a clear mind and a steady heart. You're not here to be anyone's spectator or to applaud a performance you never asked to see. Emotional manipulation only works if you allow it to. Setting boundaries doesn't make you insensitive or selfish. It means you value your well-being enough not to let others ruin it. The Stoics were right. What matters most is not what others do, but how you choose to respond. So, cut those strings. You're not meant to be a puppet, but the writer, director, and protagonist of your own story. Behavior 3. Physical or verbal violence. Let's be clear from the start. No one has the right to mistreat you. While this may seem obvious, unfortunately, for many people, it isn't. We live in a society where, in the name of love, friendship, or even education, unacceptable behaviors are justified. It's time to say enough. Violence, whether physical, verbal, or psychological, should never be tolerated. If someone tries to convince you otherwise, it's time to reassess the relationship, or, in the worst case, consider walking away. Physical violence. No excuses. Physical violence is the most obvious, but that doesn't make it any less impactful. If someone hits, pushes, or uses physical force to impose their will, it's aggression, plain and simple. There are no nuances, no justifications. Phrases like, "It was just a moment of anger," or "I love you so much that I couldn't control myself," are dangerous excuses reflecting a complete lack of respect and self-control. If a dog jumps up with joy when you come home, it's understandable because it's an animal. But when a person justifies physical aggression with love, what you need is professional support, not romantic reconciliation. Verbal violence, words hurt. 2. Then there's verbal violence, often disguised as honesty. Phrases like, "That's just how I am," conveniently appear right when someone is tearing you down with hurtful words. Interestingly, these same people can be charming and polite at work or with strangers. If someone who claims to care for you uses insults, belittling comments, or sarcastic jabs that chip away at your self-esteem, that's neither love nor respect. Respect should be like air, invisible but essential. Unlike air, however, a lack of verbal respect doesn't take long to suffocate you emotionally. Psychological violence, silent and deceptive. Finally, there's psychological violence, arguably the most dangerous because of its subtlety. It doesn't leave visible marks, but can destroy you from within. This includes emotional manipulation, guilt-tripping, gaslighting, and those small tactics that, without you realizing it, make you feel like the problem is always yours. Have you ever walked away from an argument feeling that somehow you're always to blame? Welcome to the world of master manipulators, who turn every interaction into a game where you're guaranteed to lose. Even the Stoics, with all their calm and control, would tell you this form of violence is not something you should endure. Why? Because it undermines your mental and emotional stability in ways that can be difficult to repair unless you put a stop to it. How to put an end to it. 1. Know yourself. Self-awareness is key. If you're clear about your worth and boundaries, it will be much easier to identify when someone is crossing the line. The problem arises when we've allowed such behaviors for so long that toxicity begins to feel normal. Here, it's vital to pause, reflect, and ask yourself, is this something I want to keep enduring? 2. Set clear boundaries. You don't have to sugarcoat your words or come up with excuses. 2. Saying, "I don't accept this," or "this is not okay," doesn't make you a difficult person. It makes you someone who respects their dignity. It's like rejecting a coffee you don't like. You do it without guilt and with total ease. Abusive behaviors are no different. You don't have to accept them under any circumstances. 3. Don't justify yourself. Often, when confronting abusive people, we feel the need to justify our boundaries. Remember, you don't have to. Your well-being is not up for debate or negotiation. Stoic philosophy as a guide. The Stoics had a clear perspective on respect and personal dignity. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul degrades itself when it allows someone to mistreat it, even through words." Boundaries are not an act of selfishness. They are a way to protect your peace of mind. When you allow someone to mistreat you, whether physically, verbally, or psychologically, you send a message, "I'm willing to tolerate this." That's something that must change. Learning to say no more respect is not something you should negotiate. If someone tries to justify their mistreatment with phrases like, "I do it because I love you," or "it's for your own good," you have every right to end that relationship. People who truly value you don't try to hurt you or justify harmful behavior. On the contrary, they seek to care for you, respect you, and strengthen your self-esteem. Life is too short to spend it picking up the pieces of your self-esteem after every damaging interaction. You deserve relationships where respect is the norm, not the exception. As an ancient Stoic proverb states, "He who hurts under the guise of affection does not understand the true meaning of love." Don't let anyone cross your boundaries. Violence in any form has no place in a life rooted in self-respect and dignity. Behavior 4. Lies. Have you ever felt like someone is telling you a story that sounds so perfect it could be straight out of a script, yet something inside you screams that it doesn't add up? That's the world of lies, deceit, and a lack of transparency. Nothing destroys trust faster than dishonesty, a cocktail that leaves a bitter aftertaste in relationships and makes you question even the simplest truths. The fragility of trust. Think of trust as a delicate glass vase. Every lie, omission, or half-truth creates small cracks in that vase. At first, they may seem insignificant, easy to ignore, but over time those cracks spread, weakening the glass until one day it shatters completely. And while you might try to piece it back together, it will never be the same. Trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to fully restore. Dishonesty isn't always as obvious as blatant deception. Sometimes it hides behind sweet words, unkept promises, or twisted truths that seem harmless. But those small lies, accumulated over time, erode any relationship and create an environment of constant distrust. Why some people lie lies can have many origins: fear, convenience, or even the simple habit of avoiding the truth. Some people choose deception as a way to manipulate, protect themselves, or gain a personal advantage. Whatever the reason, the consequences are always devastating. When someone lies to you, it not only harms the relationship, but also makes you question your ability to trust others. What to do when faced with dishonesty? In an ideal world, we could simply walk away from all dishonest people. But reality isn't that simple. Sometimes these people are lifelong friends, close family members, or co-workers you must interact with daily. Cutting ties isn't always an option, but that doesn't mean you have to accept their behavior. 1. Recognize the lie. The first step is accepting reality. If someone repeatedly lies to you, don't try to justify or downplay it. Chronic dishonesty doesn't magically disappear, nor will it change just because you want it to. 2. Set boundaries. Imagine your life as a house, and the doors represent the boundaries you set. If someone betrays your trust, close the door. This doesn't mean being cruel or vengeful, but it does mean protecting your emotional well-being. Honesty isn't negotiable, and those who can't offer it don't deserve unlimited access to your life. 3. Make tough decisions. Sometimes, even after setting boundaries, dishonest people continue to cross the line. When this happens, it's time to ask yourself a crucial question. Do I really need this person in my life? Life is too short to fill it with relationships built on lies and deceit. Learning to let go is one of the healthiest acts you can do for yourself. Stoic philosophy as a guide. The Stoics taught that we can't control the actions of others, but we can control our reaction to them. Marcus Aurelius said, "Be strict with yourself, but tolerant of others." This means maintaining your own standards of honesty while not allowing others' lies to destroy your inner peace. If someone chooses deception, it's not a reflection of your worth, but of their inability to be truthful. Seneca, on the other hand, left us a powerful reflection. Truth is a mirror. When it breaks, it no longer reflects the same. Don't waste your time trying to repair relationships where trust has been repeatedly broken. True self-respect lies in knowing when it's time to let go. Choosing honesty as a way of life. Living with honesty, both with yourself and with others, is a choice that frees you from the bonds of distrust. Being honest doesn't mean being perfect, but it does mean being transparent, authentic, and true to your values. When you choose to surround yourself with people who value honesty, you build relationships that strengthen and inspire you. Lies, no matter how small, have the power to destroy even the strongest relationships. But by recognizing them, setting boundaries, and making tough decisions when necessary, you can protect your peace and dignity. Always remember, life is too short to live surrounded by falsehoods. Choose truth, choose transparency, and most importantly, choose to surround yourself with people who value and respect your trust. If you've made it this far, it's because you're ready to set the boundaries you deserve. Subscribe and comment "My dignity is non-negotiable" to affirm your commitment to a fulfilling and mindful life. This is just the first step toward relationships built on respect and authenticity. By the 9th behavior, you'll discover an essential reflection that could transform the way you defend your worth. Don't miss it. It could be the key you've been looking for. Let's continue. Behavior 5. Excessive control. Have you ever noticed how some people seem almost compulsively driven to manage every aspect of your life? As if they hold an invisible remote control that regulates your decisions, relationships, and sometimes even your freedom. This situation is more common than it should be, and without realizing it, you might be giving up the lead role in your own story. When others decide for you. Excessive control doesn't always present itself blatantly. It can disguise itself as sincere concern or good intentions. Maybe someone insists on telling you how to manage your relationships, which career choices to make, or even how to live your day-to-day life. Phrases like, "I would do it this way," or "it's for your own good," sound caring but slowly map out your life on their terms. Sometimes this control comes from a family member who always seems to know better than you, a partner trying to mold you to fit their expectations, or even a friend who, under the guise of concern, seeks to dominate your decisions. What's interesting is that we often accept this almost unknowingly, until we realize that our garden, the space where we cultivate our dreams and choices, is no longer ours. The garden of your life. Think of your life as a garden. You decide which flowers to plant, how to nurture them, and which trees you want to grow. But if you let others come in and dictate what to sow, what to uproot, or where to water, that garden ceases to be yours. Do you truly want to live a life designed by the expectations and desires of others? Stoic philosophy offers a crucial lesson here. The only things we can truly control are our thoughts, decisions, and actions. Everything else, what others think, say, or try to do, is outside our control. Every time you allow someone else to interfere with your choices, you're giving up the one thing that truly belongs to you. How to take back control 1. Learn to say no. The word no is a powerful tool. You don't need to justify every decision or provide lengthy explanations. A firm yet respectful no can set the boundary between your independence and the control others try to exert. It's not an act of rebellion, it's an act of self-respect. 2. Cultivate Stoic indifference. The Stoics spoke of ataraxia, a state of serenity where external noise has no power over your inner peace. The next time someone tries to impose their will on your decisions, take a deep breath and ask yourself, does this opinion deserve so much space in my mind? Don't let external pressure become your internal noise. 3. Set clear boundaries. Just as a garden has fences for protection, you need to establish boundaries. These not only safeguard your emotional well-being, but also send a clear message. I value my autonomy, and I won't hand it over to anyone. 4. Remember your purpose. Every decision you make shapes the direction of your life. If you allow others to control those decisions, you'll end up living a life that doesn't reflect who you are. Constantly ask yourself, is this what I truly want, or is it what others expect of me? Control reflects insecurity. It's essential to understand something. Those who try to control others often have little control over their own lives. This need for dominance is often a projection of their own insecurities, fears, or frustrations. Knowing this doesn't mean you should tolerate it, but it will help you not to take it personally. Your life, your decisions. At the end of the day, only you are responsible for your choices and the consequences they bring. Don't live under someone else's script. Life is too short to let others steer the course of your steps. Remember, every time you choose what you truly desire instead of what others expect, you move closer to the life you deserve. The next time someone tries to take the reins of your life, visualize your garden. Ask yourself what you want to plant, how you want to nurture it, and which direction you want it to grow. You are not here to be a puppet in someone else's play, but the protagonist of your own story. And remember this: those who seek to control others are often the ones who lack control over their own lives. Do you really want to hand over the reins of your story to someone who can't even manage their own? Behavior 6. Humiliation. Have you ever felt that sharp sting in your chest when someone ridicules you in front of others? That uncomfortable sensation that makes you want to disappear while everyone watches, or worse, when someone privately uses words like daggers to make you feel inferior. Humiliation is not something you should tolerate, not even once, and not from anyone. Humiliation, in any form, is nothing more than a manifestation of power misused. It's an attempt by someone else to feel superior at the expense of your dignity. The alarming part is that we often accept it, either to avoid conflict or because, deep down, we've been conditioned to believe it's normal. Let me tell you something. It's not normal, and you don't have to endure it. How humiliation manifests. Humiliation can be public or private, but the emotional impact is equally devastating. It can be disguised as jokes, sarcastic comments, or critiques like, "Do you really think that's the best you can do? It's just a joke. Don't be so sensitive. I'm telling you this for your own good." Though said with a smile or under the guise of sincerity, these words are daggers. Humiliation isn't always direct. Sometimes it's camouflaged in good intentions, but with the clear aim of diminishing you. Beyond words, humiliation is an attitude, an act that robs your confidence and, if you allow it, your inner peace. Stoic philosophy on humiliation. Stoicism teaches that you cannot control what others do or say, but you can control how you respond to it. While you may not have the power to prevent someone from trying to humiliate you, you do have the power to decide how much you let it affect you. 1. Don't lower your emotional shield. Imagine your dignity as a shield protecting you from the poisoned arrows of hurtful words. Lowering it gives humiliation the power to hurt you. Keep that shield firm and remember, you determine the value of others' words. 2. Indifference as a tool. If a stranger on the street yells something insulting at you, you'd likely ignore it, right? Why not apply the same logic to people you know? Indifference doesn't mean insensitivity. It means not allowing someone to steal your peace. How to handle humiliation from those close to you. Humiliation hurts the most when it comes from someone close, a friend, family member, or partner, but that doesn't justify tolerating it. 1. Set clear boundaries. A phrase like, "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way," can be enough to stop someone. This isn't about reacting with anger, but acting with firmness. Your boundaries are the foundation of your self-respect. 2. Evaluate the relationship. If the humiliation persists despite your boundaries, reflect on the relationship. Does it add value to your life or drain it? You don't need to justify walking away from those who insist on harming you. 3. Practice self-care. Protecting your dignity isn't selfish, it's self-love. Speaking up, acting, and setting boundaries are necessary acts to preserve your emotional well-being. The impact of humiliation. Allowing humiliation is like letting someone paint over a beautiful canvas with dark, chaotic colors. Each hurtful word, each disrespectful act, is a stroke that dulls your essence. If you don't act, those strokes can become permanent. But here's the truth. You have the power to clean that canvas, to keep it bright, and to protect it from unworthy hands. Humiliation only has the power. You give it. Saying no to these behaviors doesn't make you confrontational or selfish. It makes you someone who respects and values themselves. As Epictetus said, no one can harm you without your consent. Take this principle as your guide. Don't lower your shield. Don't allow others' words to define your self-worth. And remember, no one has the right to make you feel less than, and you have all the power to stop them. If you found this insight valuable, subscribe and become part of this space dedicated to building relationships founded on respect and dignity. Behavior 7. Lack of empathy. Have you ever wondered why we keep tolerating behaviors that make us feel invisible? Lack of empathy is one of them. It's that feeling when you open your heart, share something important, only to be met with a blank stare, a disinterested response, or worse, a comment that minimizes your feelings. This behavior can be devastating because it touches the deepest parts of our emotions. It makes us feel alone, even when we're surrounded by people. But the truth is this: lack of empathy is not something you should accept. Recognizing the lack of empathy. Empathy is more than just listening. It's about understanding and connecting with another person's emotions. When someone lacks empathy, their reactions are often cold, indifferent, or even selfish. Everyone has problems. It's not a big deal. It'll pass. Don't worry so much. You're probably exaggerating. It can't be that bad. These responses feel like an emotional blow. They reduce your struggles to mere inconveniences for others. Has this ever happened to you? If the answer is yes, then you know how it feels to face someone who cannot, or will not, put themselves in your shoes. Why we tolerate a lack of empathy? Why do we accept it? Often it's because we've been conditioned to justify others' indifference. They just don't know how to express themselves. They probably have too much on their plate. It's not their fault, that's just how they are. But justifying doesn't solve anything. It only downplays our emotional needs. It's like having a plant that needs water and denying it because the sunlight should be enough. Eventually, the plant withers, and so does our emotional health. How to respond to a lack of empathy? 1. Set boundaries. You don't need to overreact, but you do need to be clear about what you expect and what you won't tolerate. If someone constantly ignores or minimizes your emotions, it's time to reconsider their role in your life. 2. Seek genuine support. Surround yourself with people who know how to listen, value your emotions, and are willing to support you without judgment. These people don't need grand gestures to show they care. 3. Work on your emotional well-being. It's not about becoming immune to indifference, but about recognizing when you're not getting what you need and taking steps to address it. Cultivating emotional strength will help you face these situations with clarity and determination. Stoic philosophy on lack of empathy. The Stoics teach us that while we cannot control others' actions, we can control how we react to them. A lack of empathy is not a reflection of your worth, but rather of the emotional limitations of the other person. When someone minimizes your emotions, ask yourself, does this person truly deserve such a significant role in my life? When you feel the urge to justify someone else's indifference, remember, expecting empathy is not a luxury, it's a fundamental need. The importance of choosing wisely. Life isn't about having many people around you, it's about having the right people by your side. Those who value you will listen, and those who listen will care. The next time you face someone who demonstrates a lack of empathy, remember this: you are not obligated to endure it. You don't need to accept relationships that drain you emotionally. As Marcus Aurelius said, tranquility comes from not depending on the emotions of others. Learning to recognize a lack of empathy and setting boundaries is an act of self-love. It's not about rejecting everyone who doesn't understand you, but about surrounding yourself with those who genuinely value what you have to share. Ultimately, your inner peace is worth far more than any hollow relationship. Behavior 8. Destructive criticism. Who hasn't been there? You're working on something, maybe a personal project or just enjoying your day, and suddenly someone chimes in with an unsolicited critique, one that adds no value but seems designed to make you feel small. Destructive criticism is that annoying noise no one needs in their life, but we've all endured it at some point. These kinds of comments are often nothing more than a disguised way for someone to release their own frustrations. It's as if they tripped over a stone and decided to blame you for it. But here's the real question: why tolerate something that doesn't add, but rather subtracts from your life? The fine line between constructive and destructive criticism. It's essential to distinguish between constructive and destructive criticism. Constructive criticism, while it may sting in the moment, it serves a clear purpose. It's like a well-placed mirror that helps you correct mistakes, grow, and improve. Destructive criticism, it's like a broken mirror. It reflects a distorted version of you, and if you're not careful, it can harm you. It doesn't seek to help, but to tear you down. The problem is that we often fail to make this distinction. We live in a world where everyone feels entitled to their opinion, regardless of whether their comment is well-informed or positive. Why do we tolerate destructive criticism? Why do we continue to give space to these opinions? Often it's because we seek external validation. We care too much about what others think, allowing anyone, even those without knowledge or context, to have a say in our lives and projects. And that, my friend, is a mistake. How to handle destructive criticism 1. Evaluate the source. Before letting a comment affect you, ask yourself, does this person have experience or authority to criticize me in this area? If the answer is no, their opinion doesn't deserve space in your mind. 2. Focus on the purpose of the criticism. Useful criticism always comes with a solution or advice. If someone only points out flaws without offering alternatives, they're not interested in helping you, just discouraging you. 3. Don't tolerate disguised poison. Destructive criticism often comes camouflaged as honesty, with comments like, "I'm just saying this because I care about you." Someone has to be honest with you. These are excuses for hurtful words. You are not obligated to listen to or accept them. Practice Stoic indifference. The Stoics understood that while you can't control what others say, you can control how you interpret it. Think of it as background noise in a coffee shop. You hear it, but you don't let it distract you. Focus on what truly matters: your work, your effort, and your goals. Setting boundaries with criticism. When someone approaches you with destructive criticism, respond calmly but firmly. For example, "I appreciate your opinion, but I don't think it's helpful right now. If you have specific suggestions, I'd be happy to hear them, but comments like that don't help." By setting clear boundaries, you not only protect your mental peace, but also send a strong message: my time and energy are reserved for those who contribute positively. The value of constructive criticism. This doesn't mean you should close your ears to all criticism. Constructive feedback is invaluable because it helps you grow. But to recognize it, you need clarity about who you are and what you're striving for. Don't let the noise of destructive criticism drown out the voices that genuinely support you. As Seneca said, "It is not your task to carry the frustrations of others, but to build your path despite them." The next time you receive criticism, ask yourself, does this help me grow, or is it simply trying to tear me down? If it's the latter, don't waste your time or energy on it. Remember, being stoic doesn't mean ignoring criticism, but knowing how to distinguish between what builds you up and what only seeks to destroy what you're creating. Your life is far too valuable to waste on the opinions of those who don't have your well-being at heart. Behavior 9. Indifference. Have you ever felt a small discomfort, a void creeping in when someone you value seems to ignore you for no apparent reason? At first, you let it slide. You think, maybe I'm overreacting, it's not a big deal. But over time, that feeling grows, and you begin to wonder, should it be this way? Is it normal to feel invisible to someone who is supposed to value me? In a world where appearing strong often means enduring everything, it's easy to fall into the trap of accepting indifference as normal. But let me tell you something. There's nothing normal or healthy about it. Indifference as a form of abuse. Indifference isn't as obvious as a betrayal or a drastic act. It's subtle but no less damaging. It manifests in the small things, daily occurrences. When you express your feelings and are met with a wall of silence. When you ask for support, time or understanding and only receive a later that never comes. When your presence seems irrelevant, like you're just another piece of furniture in the room. This isn't mere carelessness, it's emotional neglect. Allowing someone to constantly make you feel invisible is a form of abuse. While it may sound harsh, ignoring your emotional, physical or relational needs is a direct attack on your dignity. The difference between Stoicism and submission. Stoicism teaches us to find peace in our actions, not in others' behavior. But beware, this doesn't mean you should endure everything. Being stoic is not the same as being a doormat for others to walk over. True strength lies not in accepting every behavior as inevitable, but in discerning what deserves your energy and to whom you choose to give it. How to respond to indifference. Indifference doesn't always require direct confrontation, but it does require action. Here are some strategies. 1. Acknowledge the behavior. Sometimes we're so accustomed to certain patterns that we can't distinguish between normal and toxic. If someone constantly ignores your needs or minimizes your importance, don't justify it. Recognize it for what it is, harmful behavior. 2. Set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they're like traffic signs. They indicate how far others can go without losing you. If someone isn't giving you the space and respect you deserve, make it clear. A simple statement like, "I need you to respect this because it's important to me," can make all the difference. It's not about being aggressive, but being firm. 3. Evaluate the relationship. Ask yourself, do I really want this in my life? Sometimes, fear of conflict leads us to endure more than we should. But remember, ignoring your own needs is not strength, it's neglecting yourself. 4. Seek supportive networks. Surround yourself with people who value you and show it through actions, not just words. These are the people who will help you build an emotionally healthy environment. 5. Don't succumb to silence. If you feel like someone is ignoring your emotions or needs, speak up. Sometimes the other person isn't even aware of their behavior. But if, after expressing yourself, they continue acting the same way, it might be time to reconsider their role in your life. Stoicism's take on indifference. The Stoics remind us that we cannot control how others act, but we can control how we respond. Others' indifference only holds as much power as you allow it to have. If someone isn't willing to listen or value you, don't yell louder. Simply stop listening to them. Accepting indifference in your life is like accepting an empty glass when you're thirsty. You can pretend it's okay for a while, but the thirst won't go away. Your needs are valid, and addressing them isn't selfish, it's self-care. As Brian Tracy said, "What you tolerate today will consume you tomorrow." Don't let indifference steal the place you deserve in your own life. At the end of the day, your emotional needs are just as important as anyone else's. Act accordingly and defend your well-being with the same determination you'd use to care for someone you love. Because yes, my friend, you deserve that same love and care too. Behavior 10. Jealousy. Have you ever felt guilty for enjoying something you love? Perhaps spending time with your friends, indulging in your hobbies, or even desiring a moment alone. If this sounds familiar, it's time to reflect, because we're talking about jealousy, possessiveness disguised as love. Not only is it toxic, but it can also be devastating to your emotional freedom. Jealousy is not love. Let's be clear. Trying to limit your freedom or making you feel guilty for enjoying your relationships or interests is not love. It's control. And the most dangerous part is that jealousy often gets justified with manipulative phrases like, "If you really loved me, you wouldn't need anyone else." "Why are you so excited to spend time with them when you already have me?" These words act like invisible chains, trapping your life in a confined space and making you doubt yourself and your choices. But here's a fundamental truth to remember. Love doesn't suffocate, it allows growth. The misconception about love. We've been sold a dangerous and romanticized idea of love. If you love someone, you give them everything. But this isn't love, it's extreme sacrifice. The only things you should give in a healthy relationship are respect, support, and trust. True love doesn't impose arbitrary limits, need emotional chains, or control your time and decisions. As the Stoics wisely knew, the only control we truly have is over our own actions and attitudes. What others think or feel is beyond our reach, and we should not change ourselves just to fit their expectations. Your life, your garden. Imagine your life as a garden. A careful gardener knows when to water, when to prune, and most importantly, when to let the flowers grow on their own. But when someone tries to redesign your garden according to their expectations, they are cutting your roots and limiting your growth. A partner, friend, or family member who truly loves you will respect your space to flourish without trying to confine you to a pot that's too small. How to handle jealousy. So, what should you do if you're in a relationship where jealousy limits your freedom? Here are some practical steps. 1. Communicate. Many times people aren't even aware they're being possessive. Explain how you feel and why you need space to be yourself. If the other person truly values you, they'll listen and take steps to change. 2. Identify patterns. If after discussing it, jealous behaviors persist, it's time to evaluate the relationship. Is this person adding to your life or taking away from it? A relationship that detracts from you is not healthy. 3. Set boundaries. Freedom is a right, not a luxury. Don't let anyone limit your time, relationships, or interests. Set clear boundaries, and if they're not respected, it's a sign that something needs to change. 4. Prioritize your well-being. This isn't about being selfish, it's about recognizing that a relationship should complement you, not define you. The freedom to be who you are is fundamental in any connection. Stoic philosophy in love. The Stoics understood that true love doesn't seek to possess but to share. You can't control someone else's jealousy, but you can decide how to respond. Loving someone doesn't mean tolerating toxic behaviors. It means respecting and being respected, and that includes defending your right to live fully. Love and freedom are not opposites, they're complementary. Loving someone doesn't mean clipping their wings, it means letting their wings be free. As Stoic wisdom says, true love doesn't need chains to feel secure, free wings always return by their own will. So, if someone tries to clip your wings, remember, your freedom is non-negotiable. True love strengthens you. It doesn't imprison you. If you don't feel free to be who you are, it's not love, it's control. And you should never accept that from anyone. I'm excited to hear your stories of overcoming jealousy. Share your victories, challenges, and experiences in the comments. If you're not sure what to say, write, "Boundaries aren't selfish, they're self-love," to show you've completed our session. Don't forget to subscribe if this content resonates with you and your values for living with Stoic wisdom. Your voice is essential here. Every reflection strengthens and elevates our community, reflecting the true value of each individual and contributing to our shared Stoic identity. Are you ready to face life with a stronger and more peaceful mind? The Path of Wisdom, Modern Stoicism for Daily Life, will give you the keys to developing resilience, clarity, and balance every day. Click the first link in the description for a 40% discount and start your journey today toward a life of wisdom and inner strength. If Stoicism resonates with your life and you feel that this content nourishes your path to greater wisdom and balance, join our exclusive members community. Your support not only allows us to continue creating content, but also to impact and transform the lives of more people who need this knowledge and guidance on their journey. More details in the pinned comment. We'll see each other in our next meeting in Stoicism for Winners, where we'll continue to explore the riches of Stoic wisdom applied to modern life. Now, take this opportunity to expand your understanding of Stoicism with new recommended sessions. Until we meet again, remember, you are the sole owner of your perception, the creator of your peace, and the warrior of your own battles. This is the legacy of Stoicism, the art of being invincible.